Act 1. The Roots. The empire was vast. Its power seemed eternal. But beneath the marble, life was short, brutal, and chaotic. The old gods sold protection. They did not offer love.
New cults from the East promised secrets, but at a high price.
Only one people possessed an ancient network across the empire: the Jews.
The new faith did not start in stadiums. It started in shops.
They did not build temples. They built a family.
Peace be with you.
Contrary to myth, they were not just the poor. They were the privileged too.
Rome discarded its unwanted daughters. The population stagnated.
Christians rescued them and raised them.
The faith became a haven for women in a world that despised them. Women brought their husbands. Secondary conversion fueled the growth.
It was not a wave. It was a steady, mathematical ascent. Then, the Antonine Plague struck. The empire held its breath.
Even Galen, the great physician, fled for his life. But the Christians stayed. They offered simple nursing.
Basic care reduced mortality by 2/3. A miracle of sociology. Survivors attributed their life to the Christian God. To the state, they were merely stubborn troublemakers. Until the empire decided to make an example of them. Act 2. The Spectacle.
She was 22, educated, a mother, and she kept a diary.
Her father begged her to deny her faith, to think of her son.
"Can this picture be called by any other name?" she asked.
Neither can I call myself anything else than what I am, a Christian. In the dark, she dreamed of a ladder to heaven. She stepped on its head. Fear was gone. The day of the games arrived. They marched into the amphitheater. They refused the costumes of Roman gods. They would die as themselves. The crowd wanted blood. Rome provided the beasts. But they did not cower.
Perpetua pinned her hair. She helped Felicity rise.
She guided the trembling sword to her own throat.
It was meant to be a warning. It became a recruitment poster.
Her diary was copied, read, memorized. The spectacle became liturgy.
50 years later, Emperor Decius demanded universal sacrifice.
Presbyter Pionius stood in the market. He refused to be a victim.
He turned the courtroom into a pulpit, the execution
into a debate.
But then, a greater enemy arrived. Not soldiers, but plague. The plague of Cyprian. It killed 5,000 people a day in Rome. The old gods were silent. Their priests were the first to run. But the Christians ran toward the sick. Act 3. The Crucible. At its peak, the plague killed 5,000 people a day in Rome alone.
Terror overwhelmed duty. They threw those who were still alive into the roads.
Miserere nobis!
But the Christians did not flee. They claimed that death was not the end.
They cheerfully accepted the pains of their neighbors. Bishop Dionysius wrote, "They drew upon themselves the sickness of their neighbors."
They had no medicine, but they had water, food, and soap. Simple nursing raised the survival rate. It looked like a miracle. Those who survived were immune, and they were now bonded to their saviors.
The pagan population collapsed. The Christian population grew. They buried the pagan dead when their own families would not. The church became a state within a state, a welfare system that actually worked. The old gods demanded sacrifice. The new god demanded service. Christianity was attractive to women. It forbade infanticide and honored marriage.
They married later, but they raised more children. The math was simple. By the year 300, the network was too dense to tear apart. The empire made one last, desperate attempt to stop it.
The Great Persecution. They burned the books. They leveled the churches.
Amen.
But you cannot kill a network that has no center.
Constantine did not convert the empire. He caught up with it. He saw that the marginal cult was now the majority force. The persecution ended. The unexpected victory was complete. Act 4. The Triumph.
Suddenly, the underground emerged into the light. The empire began to build churches.
The simple meal became a high mass. The carpenter's son was now hailed as the cosmic king.
Did Constantine convert the empire? No. The arithmetic of growth had already made it inevitable. The empire needed glue. Christianity provided the organization that paganism lacked.
But success brought a new crisis. If the world is Christian, how do you die for the faith?
The martyrs were gone. So the monks took their place. They fled to the desert.
They called it white martyrdom, dying to the self since the lions were gone. One emperor tried to turn back the clock. Julian the apostate. He complained, "The Galileans feed not only their own poor, but ours as well." He tried to mimic the church's charity. But paganism had no network for mercy.
Julian failed. By the end of the century, the old gods were outlawed.
The temples closed. The fire of Vesta went out.
They did not just take the cities, they took the book. When Rome finally fell to the barbarians, Augustine picked up his pen. He argued that the city of man must fall. Only the city of God endures. The legions vanished. The bishops remained to negotiate with the barbarians.
They didn't destroy everything. They baptized it.
The blood of the martyrs became the treasure of the Middle Ages. They conquered the calendar. They conquered time itself. The empire was dead. Christendom was born.
Christian charity evolved. It became the hospital, the orphanage, the refuge.
For the first time, care for the sick became an institution, not just a favor. They did not just build, they stopped the killing.
The gladiatorial games ended. The spectacle of death lost its power. Infanticide was outlawed. Women were no longer property, but souls. When the empire fell, the network became the arc of civilization.
The Basiliad is gone, but its legacy is every hospital in the modern world.
The network of mercy is now global. It is the expected response to crisis.
The pursuit of the divine became the pursuit of knowledge.
Rome believed in power. The faith believed in weakness. Weakness won.
It started in the shadows, a movement of outcasts and women. It survived the lions. It defeated the plague with a cup of water. It conquered the empire from within, not with swords, but with lives.
Rodney Stark's verdict. It was a victory of better sociology.
A theology that made life more bearable and the world more humane. The blood became memory. The memory became culture.
Virtue was its own reward.
Subscribe for more.